Hi, I'm Evan, your host for Wine Couch TV. While wine is probably our biggest single focus on a regular basis, grapes and appellations and styles and all that, occasionally we leave the wine cellar and walk into the supermarket and see what's out and happening in the real world. Today, we're going to do this issue of what we call Market Fresh, with a product that many of you probably know, but few of you probably eat on a regular basis, and those would be dates. Now, dates are something I fell in love with many, many years ago when I was vacationing down in Tunisia and North Africa, particularly in Morocco and Tunisia. Dates, which grow on palm trees, hence date palms, are a staple of life down there, and I became sort of mesmerized by the variety that you find there locally called medjool. Medjools are the largest and meatiest of all the dates, and they're just amazingly honeyed, toffeed, molasses, cinnamony, clovey-like character that are just so addicting and absolutely mesmerizing. When you go to the store, and as I said before, these are the medjool dates, which are the ones that we find most often. You do have other dates that are out there, the Iraqi Diardi and Bari variety and the Kalasa that you find in Saudi Arabia, but we don't get those much here. Mostly medjools. You want to look for shine. They actually should be shiny, and they should be very smooth and free of as many wrinkles, again, all things considered, as possible. If they're starting to mold, which does happen if you not look carefully in your package, or they're starting to get sugar crystals on the outside, that's when you want to avoid them and find a different package. So a little bit of date advice. That sounded kind of funny. Anyway, dates are absolutely wonderful with wine as well, too, and you can implement them in sort of two parts of the meal. Obviously, dessert is a big part of that. We'll talk about that in a minute, but savories as well, too. I'm a big fan of using dates for appetizers, taking a date and pitting it and wrapping it in bacon or stuffing it with a little bit of chorizo or Parmesan cheese makes a wonderful appetizer. And with that, I'm a big fan of aromatic whites. This particular wine is the Denner Viognier. Now, Denner is a small winery located down in the Central Coast, and Viognier is a grape we've talked about before. It's a rich, textured wine, which works very well with, obviously, the texture of dates, but it has these beautiful lifted aromatics with exotic notes of peach and other stone fruit that actually complement the flavors of dates really well. Again, as I said before, particularly baked or roasted with a little bit of bacon, having a bit of that salt, the sweet, and the aromatics of Viognier. Yum! Well, let's taste this one and talk about it. Again, as I said before, lots of peach, a bit of nectarine, a little bit of floral, almost a rose petal-like character, and just a very, very inviting glass of wine. In tasting this particular Viognier, again, very rich and generous in the palate, it is dry, but it's so lifted, so ripe, so aromatic that it would pair beautifully with any of those aforementioned types of appetizery, slightly savory treatments of date that I think pair so well and are used. Think about doing something as straightforward as tossing them in to a bacon and spinach salad, or having them, I don't know, if I was, my kids were having peanut butter and banana sandwiches, throwing a few dates in there would probably make them quite happy too, and it'd be a nice nutritious lunch. On the dessert end of things is probably where dates shine most. And the wine we have today is actually an Australian Muscat from Rutherglen area, made by the Chambers people, and it's just incredibly fragrant. The beauty of Australian Muscat is it parallels in flavor, it mirrors in flavor a lot of what you find in dates. So you're going to get that sort of wonderful carameled, honeyed, toffeed sort of flavor, but here you get a little bit of almost like an orange zest or a sweet citrus note, a little bit of tea leaf, and dare I say, just a hint of pepper in the back. It's just a scrumptious wine. Rich, unctuous on the palate, a nice balance of acidity, but it's clearly a sweet, rich, dessert craving wine. With dates for dessert, obviously you could do things that are traditional, like date bars and throwing dates into muffins and cakes and stuff like that for texture and flavor. But don't overlook things that are really straightforward. One of my favorite treatments for dates is just taking them and throwing them in to vanilla ice cream and a little bit of milk and jamming them around in a blender and making a date milkshake. It's just terrific. Or simply using dates in your ice cream and having date ice cream to accompany a tart or a pie or a cake or something like that, and they're really, really good. So don't overlook your dates. Important stuff. Anyway, before we get out of here, our Wine Couch word of the week. Our Wine Couch word of the week this week is Harissa. Now, Harissa couldn't be anything further from dates than is humanly possible, but can be found in the grocery store, and it is a hot sauce. It's a pepper sauce, not unlike to North African food what sriracha would be to Thai food, in being based on pepper, sort of a paste sort of thing made with cumin and a lot of red chili and oil holding it together, and is fabulous with stews and tagines and couscous. And actually, I've had for breakfast a little bit of dates, a little bit of harissa on a nice piece of toast, and it made me happy, really wanting that muscat. Anyway, that's all we have time for today. Until we get together next time, enjoy your dates, have a little wine, and take care.